No human had ever stepped foot inside the Hall of Suns. And yet, there Kale stood, unarmed, uninvited, and completely alive, for now. The hall stretched beyond imagination, walls of translucent crystal humming softly, alive with running rivers of gold. Pillars taller than skyscrapers shimmered, their surfaces shifting like liquid mirrors. Light bent around everything here, as if gravity itself bowed to the queen who ruled this place. He shouldn't have been here. Every soldier stationed at the gate had said the same. Turn back before she sees you. But he hadn't. Because he wasn't here as an envoy, or a spy, or a diplomat. He was here for something far more dangerous, to tell her the truth. The heavy doors sealed shut behind him with a hiss. The air thickened. Even sound seemed to hesitate. 24 royal sentinels turned in unison, faceless warriors clad in chrome and gold, each holding plasma spears that vibrated faintly in the silence. They didn't move, but Kale could feel their collective awareness like a blade pressed against his neck. Then came the voice. Calm. Sharp. Every syllable cut through him like a thread of light. Approach. He froze. The word carried a command his body wanted to obey before his mind could resist. At the far end, beyond the shimmering haze of energy, sat Queen Xenia. The first thing that struck him wasn't her armor or her crown, it was her presence. She sat on a throne of luminous metal shaped like wings folded around her, each feather etched with alien glyphs that pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat. Her blonde hair, braided in intricate loops, glowed faintly under the twin suns pouring light through the glass ceiling. Her gaze found him, precise, dissecting, curious. He'd seen commanders, diplomats, killers. None looked like her. Kale's boots echoed on the floor, each step slow, deliberate. The throne room swallowed the sound almost instantly, like even echoes needed her permission to exist. When he stopped halfway to the dais, Xenia leaned forward slightly, studying him. A human, she said softly, the corners of her lips curving into something that wasn't quite a smile. Alive. How unusual. Kale swallowed. I came to speak. Many have come to speak, Xenia replied. Most never finish their sentence. A faint pulse of golden light swept across the hall, her energy brushing against his nervous system, scanning him like a wave. He held still. Even fear would be read here. I bring no threat, Kale said quietly. Xenia rose. The room dimmed as her armor absorbed the light, refracting it into thousands of sharp glints. She walked down the steps, each footfall leaving ripples of molten gold spreading beneath her. You bring something, she said. I can feel it in the way the air bends around you. Kale reached to the side, unlocking the small metal case he carried. It opened with a quiet hiss, revealing a fragment of an artifact, a piece of alien alloy scorched by battle. This fell from your fleet during the siege, he said. We studied it. It spoke. That word caught her attention. It spoke. Kale nodded. It said your name. The silence that followed could have broken glass. Every guard shifted their stance. Xenia stopped moving. Her golden eyes flickered, not anger, but confusion, maybe even fear. You lie, she whispered, though her voice trembled slightly at the edge. Kale met her gaze without flinching. Then you should hear it for yourself. He pressed the button on the case. The hall filled with static, then, a whisper, distorted but unmistakable. Xenia, come home. Her expression shattered, just for an instant, then rebuilt itself with terrifying calm. Her next words weren't to her guards, or to him. They were to herself. That voice hasn't been heard in 500 years. Kale's heart pounded. He hadn't expected that reaction. Xenia's gaze locked on him, sharp, almost predatory. Who told you to bring this? No one, Kale said. I came because I thought you'd want to know who said it. And do you know who it was? She asked, stepping dangerously close, her presence almost suffocating. Kale didn't blink. Yes. The golden light trembled in the hall. The guards shifted uneasily. Xenia's voice dropped to a whisper that felt like thunder. Then speak, human, and pray your truth is worth your life. The fragment hummed in Lyra's hands, the energy inside it vibrating like a trapped heartbeat. Seraphine's golden eyes never left her, each second stretching into an eternity. Every instinct screamed retreat, yet every fiber of her being demanded she step forward. You know what this means? Seraphine's voice was low, almost a growl. You know the danger you've invited into this vault. I do, Lyra admitted, her voice trembling despite her resolve. But if you do not hear it, the consequences will be far worse. Centuries will remain buried. Lives could be lost. A ripple of energy ran along the walls. The air thickened, pulling at her lungs, and the crystal floor seemed to respond to Seraphine's anger, glowing brighter with each pulse. The queen's footsteps echoed like thunder as she circled the dais, and Lyra realized she was being assessed, measured in ways she could not comprehend. "Every human who has entered my domain has left broken," Seraphine said, stopping close enough that Lyra could feel the warmth radiating from her armor. "And yet, you come unarmed, uninvited, alive. That is unusual." "I came because the truth cannot wait," Lyra said, opening the case wider. The fragment's glow spilled across her hands, casting moving shadows on the walls, shadows that seemed almost alive. "It spoke your name. And it wants you to act, to remember, to choose." Seraphine's face shifted, curiosity, fear, longing, anger, a storm of emotions beneath the calm exterior. She extended a hand, fingers brushing lightly over the fragment. The air crackled. For a heartbeat, Lyra thought the energy might tear her apart. But Seraphine's touch steadied it, like a conductor calming a wild orchestra. "It is real," the queen murmured, voice almost drowned by the resonance of the fragment. "It cannot be false. This presence, it belongs to me." "You know the voice," Lyra said softly. "You know why it is calling. You just need to admit it." Seraphine's golden armor shifted, light bending and folding, her form radiating power that pressed down on the vault like a living weight. I was taught to bury it, to forget it, to deny what happened. And yet it calls," Lyra countered, stepping closer despite the fear twisting in her stomach. "It calls because it needs you. Not because of fear, not because of power, because of choice. Because of what only you can do." The queen's eyes narrowed, and the vault responded, shimmering waves rolling through the crystal walls. The guardians, ever still, hummed with anticipation. Even the light itself seemed to lean closer, as if the universe was watching this moment. "You speak boldly," Seraphine said, almost a whisper, yet the words cut through the charged air like a blade. "You risk everything to bring me this truth. And for that, I cannot ignore you." Lyra exhaled, relief and tension warring inside her. "Then listen. Truly listen. The voice remembers what we cannot. The fragment carries it forward. If you act now, if you embrace it, you can stop the destruction that's coming. You can save everything." The queen stepped back, lifting her chin. Her armor flared with golden brilliance, light scattering into the hall, illuminating every corner with an intensity that made Lyra squint. "And if I refuse? Then everything dies," Lyra said, steady, unwavering. "Not just your fleets, not just your people, everything. And the last chance of redemption will vanish." For a long, impossible moment, the vault was silent except for the fragment's pulse. Then, Seraphine's lips curved, not a smile, not a frown, but something terrifying in its certainty. "I will hear it," she said. "Every word. And then I will decide who lives and who dies." A tremor ran through the floor as the crystal walls pulsed, reacting to her decision. Lyra's heart raced, and she knew this was the point of no return. The queen's presence was overwhelming, yet she felt the smallest flicker of hope, that maybe, just maybe, her gamble had not been in vain. The fragment's glow intensified, bathing them both in searing light. Lyra held her breath. The story was about to unfold, and nothing would ever be the same again. The fragment flared violently as Seraphine raised it, the crystal vault walls reflecting blinding streaks of gold and violet. Lyra staggered back, shielding her eyes, but the energy seemed to pull at her mind as much as her body, tugging at memories she didn't even know she had. "Focus," Seraphine's voice cut through the chaos, calm but unrelenting. "You brought this to me. You have to help me stabilize it." Lyra nodded, teeth clenched. She had no idea how to control this power, but there was no turning back. Not now. The fragment's pulse matched the queen's heartbeat, resonating through the floor and walls, vibrating through Lyra's bones. If she failed, the vault would collapse, and with it, everything she had risked to get here. Suddenly, the crystal floor beneath them split with a deafening crack. Energy tendrils shot upward, shimmering like lightning, reaching toward the ceiling and colliding with the vaulted crystal. Each strike made the walls quake. Lyra felt her hands go numb. The fragment burned like it had a mind of its own. "This isn't just a message," Lyra shouted over the roar of energy. "It's a warning. The fleet, the cities, everything is in danger." Seraphine's golden eyes narrowed, scanning the vault as if seeing through it. "I know," she said. "I feel it. The unrest in the universe. The fractures in time and loyalty. And it all comes to me." A sudden gust of wind, unnatural, almost alive, knocked Lyra off her feet. She crashed against the crystal wall, sliding down to the floor, the fragment clattering beside her. She scrambled to retrieve it, adrenaline surging, and felt the energy pulse in her chest as if the artifact had latched onto her very soul. Then came the sound, a voice. Not through the fragment this time, but inside her head. Clear. Commanding. Terrifying. Return it, or all will burn. Lyra froze. The words weren't alien. They were intimate, personal, like they remembered her. Seraphine, it's not just a message, she gasped. It's alive. And it knows me. The queen's armor gleamed brighter, each movement creating shards of light that danced across the walls. She extended a hand toward Lyra, energy flowing like liquid gold from her fingertips. Then let it speak. Let it tell me everything. But be warned, lies will not survive here. Only truth. Lyra clenched the fragment tight. Her pulse raced, her skin prickling with fear. The human fleets, the artifact, it's all connected. Someone wants to trigger a war. They've manipulated every signal, every fleet movement. They've already attacked sectors in secret. The energy surged, cracking the floor more violently. Crystals fractured, sending shards spinning through the air like deadly daggers. Lyra barely dodged a glowing spike, her heart hammering. Seraphine's eyes glowed hotter, fury and power mixing with something like vulnerability. You've brought me chaos, Seraphine said, voice booming through the vault. And now it's my responsibility to stop it. She stepped forward, her armor absorbing every light pulse, feeding it back into her body, amplifying her presence to godlike levels. Lyra swallowed, trembling. I didn't bring chaos, I brought truth. The truth can save lives, but it can also burn them if ignored. You have to choose what kind of queen you are. For a moment, time seemed suspended. The energy from the fragment throbbed like a heartbeat, syncing with both of them. The vault groaned as if alive, reacting to their thoughts, their emotions. Every second could be the last. Finally, Seraphine's gaze locked on Lyra's. Show me, she demanded. Show me what must be done. And know this, if you deceive me, if you hide even a fraction of the truth, I will destroy everything to find it. Lyra's hands shook, the fragment almost too hot to hold. I swear, I will show you everything. But you have to trust me, and trust yourself. The queen extended her hand fully, the vault bending light around her like molten gold. The fragment floated between them, pulsing violently, ready to unleash a force neither fully understood. And in that suspended heartbeat, both knew, nothing after this moment would ever be safe or simple. The energy surged, the vault quaked, and the first choice that could ignite or save an entire civilization had to be made, now. The fragment's pulse surged again, violently this time, sending shockwaves through the vault that rattled crystal pillars like thunder. Lyra stumbled backward, barely keeping her footing as Seraphine's golden aura flared, expanding outward, bending the very air around them. You don't understand. Lyra shouted, her voice barely audible over the energy roaring around them. It's not just a weapon. It's a signal, a call, and someone is listening. Seraphine's eyes narrowed, scanning the fragment like it were a living thing. The queen's aura flickered, a blend of fury and something sharper, almost pain. Then show me who is behind this. Show me now, before it's too late. With a trembling hand, Lyra pressed the fragment to her chest. Images exploded in her mind, fleets erupting into fire, planets burning, civilians screaming, entire systems collapsing. The visions came too fast, too chaotic, but Lyra pushed through the nausea, forcing herself to see everything. They're everywhere, she whispered, voice breaking. They've infiltrated the councils, the fleets, the governors. Their plan is to ignite war between the Valari and human worlds, to make us destroy each other before they take control. The fragment glowed brighter, resonating with her fear, her anger, her determination. Light streaked across the vault, forming patterns on the walls like a star map of doom. Seraphine stepped forward, her steps echoing with authority. Each step bent the air around her, creating waves that threw Lyra off balance. Then we end it, Seraphine said, voice low, dangerous. We expose them, or we die trying. Before Lyra could respond, the vault doors shattered inward. Shadowed figures poured in, armed and armored, moving with lethal precision. Lyra recognized the insignias, rogue Valari soldiers, traitors working with an unknown human faction. Their weapons glowed ominously, each shot slicing through the crystal like fire through glass. Seraphine raised her hand, golden energy spiraling outward, striking the attackers with precision. Some were thrown back, shattered against walls, but more kept coming. The queen's power rippled through the vault, bending light, air, and even gravity around her. Lyra ducked, rolling to grab the fragment, which now vibrated violently in her hands. "You can't hold it!" Seraphine yelled. "It will burn you alive if you misuse it." Lyra's hands shook, sweat stinging her eyes. "I have to," she cried. "It's the only way to stop them." With a desperate prayer, she pressed the fragment to the floor. A blinding shockwave erupted, golden and violet, ripping through the vault like a star exploding. The attackers screamed, thrown back violently, weapons melting in their hands. Pillars cracked, and energy streaks danced like lightning across the ceiling. Seraphine's aura flared in response, merging with the fragment's energy. The queen's voice echoed, amplified, "You will not corrupt this universe." Lyra felt herself being pulled into the fragment's energy, visions and voices colliding in her mind. She saw the attackers' motives, their leaders, even their hidden stations. Every secret, every hidden move, laid bare in a single surge of overwhelming clarity. Then, a scream. One of the attackers had managed to launch a projectile at Seraphine. Time seemed to slow as Lyra dove forward instinctively, catching the queen's arm, redirecting the attack. The energy from the fragment pulsed violently, feeding her courage, her fear, her love for life itself. "You're stronger than you think," Seraphine said, a rare smile flickering on her lips amidst the chaos. "Do not let them break you." Lyra's body hummed with energy. She realized she wasn't just holding the fragment, she was channeling it. Every pulse of light, every surge of power, responded to her will. And in that moment, she understood the truth. The fragment didn't just speak, it listened. The attackers fell back, overwhelmed by the combined force of Lyra and Seraphine. Their precision shattered, their formation collapsing. The vault quaked, but the queen and the human girl stood at its center, golden light and violet streaks wrapping around them like armor. When the final attacker was thrown to the ground, unconscious, silence fell. The air was thick with smoke and charged energy, but the threat was gone. For now. Seraphine lowered her hand, the fragment dimming slightly, yet still pulsating. She looked at Lyra, her gaze intense, almost intimate. "This is only the beginning," she said. "Do you understand what we've just unleashed?" Lyra nodded, chest heaving, eyes wide. "Yes, and I'm ready." Outside the shattered vault doors, the galaxy waited. The war was far from over, but a spark of hope had been lit, and it burned brighter than any darkness that dared to rise against it. The shattered vault doors groaned as Lyra and Seraphine stepped into the hallway beyond, their boots echoing on cracked crystal floors. Smoke and dust hung thick in the air, and somewhere in the distance alarms began to wail. The artifact pulsed faintly in Lyra's hands, a heartbeat of violet and gold, warning her that it was far from done. "We can't stay here," Seraphine said, her eyes scanning the ruined corridor. "They'll regroup, and they'll come back stronger." Lyra nodded, still trembling from the surge of power. I saw everything," she admitted. "Their leaders, their stations, their plans, it's worse than we thought. They are already moving against the colonies." "Then we move first," Seraphine said, voice cold but measured. She touched the fragment gently. "And we expose them. Every hidden cell, every traitor, every one of them." A distant explosion shook the corridor. Dust and shards fell from the ceiling. "They're not waiting," Lyra whispered. Panic gnawed at her chest. "They know we survived." Seraphine's gaze sharpened. "Good. That means we're on the right path." She extended her hand. "Come. We need to warn the councils before they make their move." They ran down the hall, moving past broken sentinels and scorched walls. Lyra could feel the fragment's pulse intensifying with each step, almost guiding them, leading them toward a hidden exit. The artifact's energy made the air hum around her, bending light and shadows, and every instinct screamed that it had its own agenda. Halfway through the vault complex, a shadow detached itself from the corridor walls. A figure in dark, armored robes stepped forward, eyes glowing red through the visor. Lyra recognized the insignia, a high-ranking human collaborator who had infiltrated the Valari defense forces. "You shouldn't have survived," the figure hissed. Their voice carried through a distorted comlink, amplified unnaturally. "That artifact is mine." Seraphine stepped in front of Lyra. Her aura flared, a storm of gold light and raw energy. "You want it? Come and take it." The figure lunged, plasma blades slicing through the air. Lyra's heart leaped into her throat. The fragment throbbed violently, as if warning her to act. She clenched it tightly, focusing, letting the energy course through her. A shield of violet gold light erupted around them, deflecting the first strike with a shower of sparks. "You're strong, for a human," the figure spat, circling them. "But power without control will destroy you." Lyra's hands shook. She could feel the fragment feeding her courage, feeding her fear, feeding her will. The visions she had seen in the vault, the burning worlds, the screaming colonies, surged back, sharper, more urgent. She realized the fragment wasn't just a weapon. It was a mirror, showing her what she was capable of, if she dared to trust herself. She inhaled deeply. Then, in one fluid motion, she slammed the artifact into the ground. A wave of energy blasted outward, sending the figure sprawling backward, their armor smoking and cracked. Light streaked across the corridor walls, revealing hidden sensors, secret traps, and concealed soldiers who had been waiting for the right moment to strike. Seraphine's voice cut through the chaos. "Now! Move!" Together, they dashed down the last corridor, dodging energy blasts and falling debris. The artifact pulsed like a heartbeat, a warning that the danger was far from over. Behind them, the shadowed figure recovered, their glowing eyes fixed on Lyra, hatred and desperation coiling like a predator. At the exit, the twin suns outside bathed the ruined hall in harsh light. Lyra gasped, sweat and dust coating her skin. "We made it, but they'll follow," she said, voice trembling. Seraphine placed a hand on her shoulder, steadying her. "Yes, they will. And when they do, we'll be ready. We have something they don't, knowledge, courage, and the power to expose every secret they thought was hidden." The fragment vibrated fiercely in Lyra's grip. She looked up at Seraphine, determination hardening her features. "Then we stop them. No matter what it takes." A shadow flickered across the wall behind them, faster than the eye could follow. Lyra froze. Something was moving in the sunlit courtyard, something enormous, something unseen until now. A low growl, mechanical and alive, echoed through the ruins. Seraphine's eyes widened, and even her golden aura faltered slightly. "They're not just human collaborators," she murmured. "Something else, something ancient. And it's awake." The ground beneath them trembled. Dust rained from the shattered ceilings. Lyra tightened her grip on the fragment, feeling the pulse of danger reverberate through her bones. And in that moment, she knew the war had only just begun. The courtyard was silent, at first. Then the ground shuddered beneath Lyra's boots, and the fragment in her hand thrummed violently, as if screaming a warning. Shadows stretched unnaturally across the broken spires, twisting and writhing, forming shapes that no natural light should create. Lyra froze, every instinct screaming danger, but Seraphine's grip on her arm yanked her forward. "They are coming," Seraphine said, voice low, sharp. Her golden aura flared, cutting through the darkness like molten sunlight. "And it's not just the collaborators. That thing awakened the moment we used the fragment." From the shadows, the monstrous figure emerged, taller than the tallest sentinel, armored in jagged obsidian plates that shimmered with dark energy. Its eyes glowed a deep crimson, scanning the courtyard with unnatural intelligence. Mechanical appendages clicked and hissed as it stepped closer, leaving scorched patterns in the stone with every footfall. Lyra swallowed hard. Her hands trembled, but the artifact pulsed in response, almost urging her forward. "What is that?" she whispered. "Ancient," Seraphine said grimly. "A war construct from the time before the Valari even ruled these systems. It was buried, forgotten, until now. And it wants that fragment." The creature roared, a sound that rattled bones and shattered the brittle remnants of the courtyard's crystal pillars. Light from the twin suns caught its armor, refracting into jagged beams that blinded for a heartbeat. Then it charged, impossibly fast, every step leaving a scorched mark, energy sparking off the ground. "Defensive formation," Seraphine shouted, summoning her aura into a barrier around them. Violet gold light flared outward, forming a protective dome just in time as the construct slammed into it. The impact sent them sliding across the cracked floor, shards of crystal and debris spraying into the air. Lyra stumbled to her feet, breathing hard. The artifact's pulse synchronized with her heartbeat, its energy weaving into her nervous system. She felt fear, yes, but also exhilaration, power, and clarity. "We can fight it," she shouted, more to herself than to Seraphine. Seraphine nodded, already moving. "Yes, but strategically. This thing isn't human. It doesn't feel fear or hesitation. It calculates, predicts, adapts. We need to disrupt its senses, then immobilize it long enough to contain it." Lyra's mind raced. The courtyard offered little cover, and every pillar they might use for defense was cracked or unstable. She could feel the fragment's energy pulling her toward the construct, almost guiding her, whispering solutions she couldn't fully understand. "Distract it," Seraphine commanded, her aura flaring like a beacon. "I'll channel the fragment's pulse through the courtyard conduits. If we can overload its systems." Lyra's heart pounded. "And if we fail?" Seraphine's eyes narrowed. "Then we die. But we won't fail." The construct lunged again, faster this time, striking with an arm tipped like a scythe. Lyra darted forward, artifact raised, releasing a pulse of energy that grazed the beast's armor. Sparks flew, metal groaned, but it barely slowed. Its crimson eyes fixed on her, and in that instant, she understood. It recognized her as the fragment's wielder. She screamed, unleashing another surge of energy. The fragment's pulse intertwined with Seraphine's aura, a harmonic resonance that lit the courtyard in blinding violet and gold. The construct staggered, smoke pouring from its armored joints, sparks cascading like a deadly fountain. But it was far from finished. With a metallic roar, it reared back and smashed the ground, sending shockwaves outward. Lyra and Seraphine were thrown off balance, skidding across the cracked stone. The fragment vibrated violently, threatening to tear itself from her hands. Through the haze, Lyra saw it, a thin, almost imperceptible seam along the construct's chest plate. "There," she shouted. "It's core. Hit the core." Seraphine's eyes met hers, and without a word, they synchronized. Energy crackled between them, flowing from the fragment, through the air, and into the seam. The construct froze, jerking violently as circuits overloaded, sparks and flames bursting from its chest. And then, silence. The courtyard fell eerily still. Dust hung in the air, illuminated by the settling twin suns. Lyra's knees gave out, and Seraphine caught her just in time. The construct lay inert, steam rising from its body, crimson eyes flickering and dimming. Lyra exhaled shakily, staring at the fallen behemoth. "Is it over?" Seraphine shook her head slowly. "Not even close. That was only the beginning. Whatever orchestrated this, they know we're here now. And they'll come again, bigger, faster, smarter." Lyra's grip tightened on the fragment, its pulse slowing slightly but still alive, still warning. "Then we prepare," she said, voice firm, no trace of fear. "And when they come, we'll be ready." Behind her, the shadow of another movement flickered against the ruined walls. Something ancient and alive had awakened. And it was not finished. The council chamber was not meant for fear. Its walls of polished obsidian reflected every glance, every movement, amplifying them into echoes that seemed alive. Lyra stepped inside, fragment clutched tightly, pulse racing. Even the air felt charged, thick with tension. The counselors, representatives from the Valari high sects, waited, their eyes sharp, skeptical, and unblinking. "You're late," intoned Elder Kylus, voice like gravel sliding down stone. "And you bring that?" His gaze snapped to the fragment, and for a moment, Lyra could almost feel the silent judgment of centuries pressing down on her. "I had to contain it first," Lyra said evenly, holding up the fragment. "If it had awakened in the courtyard, the city would be in flames by now. That construct was just a warning." A murmur rippled through the chamber. Murals of the Valari's ancient victories glowed faintly in the dim light, but even they seemed to pale in comparison to the urgency of the moment. Elder Varina leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "A warning from whom? And why involve a human artifact in the first place?" Lyra's jaw tightened. "Because the artifact is sentient, in part. It reacts to power, intelligence, courage, and it spoke, in a way only a human could hear. Whoever orchestrated the attack knew it would draw me out. They want us exposed." A heavy silence followed. Every counselor weighed her words. Every eye, every subtle flick of a hand, betrayed centuries of political calculation. And then Elder Kylus leaned back, exhaling slowly. "So we're under siege, and the attackers are testing us. Again, the human influence grows stronger in your judgments, Lyra. Do you trust them more than your own people?" Lyra's gaze did not waver. "I trust action over tradition, Elder. Waiting for them to strike again will cost lives. We act now, or we lose everything." A subtle click echoed as Seraphine stepped forward, her golden aura flaring with calm authority. "I can stabilize the fragment, map its resonance through the city's energy conduits, and set traps. But we'll need soldiers. And allies. And most importantly, we need a strategy that accounts for their next move." The counselors exchanged glances. Finally, Elder Varina spoke, her voice low but commanding. Then show us. If you can predict the construct's path, prove it. Lay your strategy before us. This chamber decides the fate of the city, not impulsive heroics. Lyra nodded. She moved to the center of the chamber, laying the fragment on a crystalline table. Its light pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat. She began sketching diagrams in the air, streams of golden light tracing paths of energy, potential ambushes, and fallback points. The fragment resonated, amplifying her projections, sending arcs of light across the chamber walls, illuminating the faces of the counselors with stark clarity. This is how they'll move, she said, tracing a jagged path through the city's streets. They'll strike in waves, using constructs we haven't seen before. Each one is designed to adapt, to learn. That's why containment is vital. And that's why we must use the fragment. It's not a weapon, it's a lure, a key, and a shield all at once. Elder Kylus tapped a long, bony finger on the table. And the human, the one who aided you before. She's integral, Lyra said firmly. Her instincts, combined with the fragment's guidance, are our only chance. She can see the constructs in ways we cannot. A murmur of approval, though faint, rippled through the council. Elder Verina's lips curved ever so slightly. Then we trust in your judgment, and in your human. But remember, Lyra, if you fail, this city falls. Not just the courtyards or the walls, but everything our ancestors fought for. The room darkened as the twin suns set behind the council chamber windows, casting long shadows that stretched like fingers across the floor. Lyra felt the fragment vibrate in her hand, almost urging her onward. I will not fail, she said, voice steady, almost a vow. And we will be ready for them. Whatever comes next, we'll meet it head-on. The constructs, their masters, none of them will break us. Outside, the city hummed quietly, oblivious to the storm gathering in the shadows. But Lyra could feel it, the pulse of danger, the whispered movements of enemies lurking beyond sight. And deep inside her, the fragment thrummed like a heartbeat, a silent promise that the fight was only just beginning. She looked at Seraphine, her eyes blazing with determination. We prepare. We protect. And when they strike... Seraphine's lips curled into a grim smile. We strike back. Harder than they ever imagined. And with that, the chamber doors sealed with a resonant hum, the echo of an ancient warning reverberating through the city. The war had begun. The city had never felt so silent. Even the wind seemed to hesitate, as if it knew what was coming. Lyra stood atop the central tower, the fragment secured against her chest, eyes scanning the streets below. The golden light from the artifact pulsed faster now, like a warning heartbeat, syncing with her own. Report, she said sharply. Seraphine's voice crackled over the comlink. First wave sighted. North District. Dozens of constructs. Moving faster than predicted. Lyra's skin prickled with tension. She had run simulations, trained for months, but nothing could replicate the sensation of watching death march through her city. Her human ally, Kale, appeared at her side, eyes cold, assessing, ready. They are learning, he said, voice tight. Every step they take, they adapt. They are not just machines, they think. Then we act before they think too far ahead, Lyra replied. She raised the fragment, and a stream of golden energy flared from it, casting radiant paths along the streets. The constructs hesitated, flickering as though confused, scanning for threats they couldn't identify. Below, the city's defenses activated. Shields hummed to life, energy grids lighting up as protective barriers crawled along walls and rooftops. Soldiers, both Valari and human, took their positions. And then the first wave struck. The constructs moved in eerie synchronization, silent until impact. They tore through barricades, adapting instantly to each defense. Blaster fire lit the streets, reflecting off obsidian walls. Lyra's heart pounded as she directed troops, signaling diversions, collapsing one street while opening another. Kale sprinted past her, cutting through a group of constructs with precise, lethal strikes. Lyra's eyes tracked him, fear and admiration twisting together. He moved like he belonged here, even if the city wasn't his. Suddenly, one construct leapt onto the tower beside them. Its limbs glowed with volatile energy, jagged and unstable. Lyra reacted instantly, the fragment flaring to life in her hands. She sent a pulse, golden light slicing through the air, colliding with the construct. It screamed, metal grinding against energy, and toppled back into the street below. Too close, Kale hissed, wiping sweat from his brow. Before she could respond, the fragment vibrated violently. More constructs were arriving, faster, smarter, coordinated like a single organism. Lyra realized the attack wasn't random. It was a calculated push, testing every strategy, probing for weaknesses. She took a deep breath, forcing calm over panic. The Council's teachings, the artifact's guidance, Kale's steady presence, all converged in that moment. She could feel the flow of energy from the fragment, the pulse of the city itself. "North Bridge, collapse it," she ordered. Energy beams shot from hidden nodes, diverting the construct's path. They stumbled, regrouping, but the delay was enough for troops to flank and isolate several units. Then came the unmistakable hum of the elite constructs, taller, faster, armored in dark alloys that absorbed light. Their eyes glowed a chilling red. The first wave had been a warning. These were the true hunters. Kale grabbed her arm. "We can't take them head on." "Not yet." Lyra shook her head. "We don't have the luxury of retreat." She activated the fragment fully, golden light engulfing her hands, radiating outward in waves. The energy washed over the streets, bending constructs' movements, creating openings for soldiers to strike. One elite construct lunged at Kale, swinging a massive arm charged with plasma. Lyra focused, sending a precise pulse of energy, striking the construct mid-attack. Sparks and fragments rained down, and Kale rolled to safety, breathing hard but alive. The city shook, buildings trembling from impacts, alarms wailing. Civilians had been evacuated, but fear still clung to every shadow. Lyra's skin glowed now, bright gold mixed with streaks of crimson. Fear, anger, determination, every emotion visible, feeding the fragment's power. She locked eyes with Kale. "We hold them here. Together." He nodded, expression grim but unwavering. "Together." And then the battle truly began, constructs raining down from every direction, soldiers clashing in the streets, energy flares cutting through darkness, the city's heartbeat racing as if aware that everything, life, future, love, trust, was on the line. Lyra felt the fragment vibrate violently in her hands. She clenched it tighter, letting its energy surge through her. The golden pulse expanded outward, a living wall of light. Constructs hit it, staggered, then dissolved into sparks, one by one. But she knew this was only the beginning. The real challenge, the one that could decide the fate of the city and every soul within, had yet to come. And somewhere in the shadows, the true mastermind watched, waiting for her next move. Kale staggered backward as the chamber trembled. The artifact in his hands hummed violently, its light spiking and scattering across the hall of suns like molten gold. Xenia's golden eyes flared, reflecting both awe and alarm. The whispers had grown louder now, layering over each other until the air itself seemed alive with voices long dead. "Enough," she barked, but her command barely cut through the static storm. Kale clenched the artifact tighter, feeling the pulse of history and rage thrumming through him. Every fiber of his being screamed to run, yet he knew the truth would die if he did. "You don't understand what you're holding," Xenia said, stepping forward, her voice unsteady yet sharp enough to carve through the chaos. "It's more than a relic. It carries everything." Kale swallowed, heart hammering. "I know, and it spoke to me. It called your name. You have to see." Xenia hesitated, a flicker of doubt crossing her otherwise imperious gaze. She reached out, fingers trembling as if touching the artifact could ignite or annihilate them all. The room warped around them, light bending, shadows stretching unnaturally, the air humming with power neither of them could fully contain. Then it happened. The artifact flared, and in that instant, Kale glimpsed the memory embedded within it. Cities burning, fleets falling from the sky, a lone figure calling desperately, calling Xenia home. He staggered, almost dropping it. Xenia gasped, her chest heaving as the visions struck her like lightning. 500 years, she whispered, voice breaking for the first time. "I thought it was gone. I thought I was alone." Kale's gaze locked with hers. "You weren't. You were never alone." And now, he hesitated. The artifact vibrated violently, threatening to tear itself apart. "Now you have a choice. One that could save billions, or doom us all." The chamber's energy surged. Pillars of liquid gold spiraled upward, colliding with the crystal ceiling, sending shards of refracted light spinning through the hall like meteors. The sentinels stepped back, sensing a danger far beyond their programming. Xenia's hand brushed Kale's. The warmth of human touch grounded her amidst the chaos. She swallowed her fear, steadied her stance. "Tell me what must be done," she said, voice hardening. "I will not let my people fall because I hesitated." Kale nodded. "But it won't be simple. And it won't be without risk. You'll face enemies who have waited centuries for this moment. And, his eyes darkened. Even allies may not survive it. A silence fell. The artifacts glow dimmed slightly, as if listening, as if aware of the pact being forged between them. Xenia's chest rose and fell rapidly. Then, with a sudden surge of determination, she lifted her chin. Then we go together, she said. All of it. No fear. No hesitation. No turning back. Kale felt the weight of destiny settle over them, the enormity of what lay ahead pressing against his ribs. And somewhere deep in the artifact, a voice whispered once more, soft, terrifying, eternal. The reckoning is coming. Only the brave survive, only the truth remains. The Hall of Suns shook violently, a low hum building into a roar. The crystal walls cracked, golden rivers splintering into chaos. Kale and Xenia locked eyes, hearts racing, knowing this was the precipice of something far larger than either could face alone. Then, in a blinding flare, everything went black. And in that darkness, one thought burned clearer than any star. The universe has never seen a reckoning like this, and it begins with us.